Which science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown and you lose you?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death? Yeah, so fuck up and die.
You can't, but if you lived in the middle of the desert, you might run into the Hitcher.
A hitchhiker? Oh my God. I would totally pull over for Rutger Hauer, dude. I would be all over his disgusting, terrible face. He's so scary.
Yeah. Have you ever picked up a hitchhiker?
No.
My dad used to all the time.
That's the thing. A, I'd have never really had the opportunity. And B, probably wouldn't, maybe. I don't know. It's weird. It's like, I guess I've definitely. What have I done? No, I don't know. No,
what have I done?
What have I done? Yeah, never. I mean, I've never pulled over, picked up a hitchhiker, put him in my trunk, out of the desert.
I regret one guy I didn't pick him up, but I was driving to Rock Springs in Wyoming, and I stopped in Evanston to get gas. And if you know where that's at, it's like right at the border of Wyoming and Utah. And then, so it's like an hour and a half drive from Evanston to Rock Springs. And anyway, so I was leaving, and it's just desert that whole way. It's like there's nothing.
Right.
So I was leaving Evanston, and there was a guy on the side of the highway, and he looked like a regular folk punk bro. Like, he's just like a folk punky guy, and he had a sign, and he was like, hey, like, he looked so happy. But I was like very stoned. And so I was like, I can't. I'm like, I should pick him up. Like, I would pick him up maybe normally, but I can't right now. I can't have a conversation with this strange hitchhiker. And so I drove past. And the look on his face when he realized I wasn't going to stop, to this day, I think about it to this day, he didn't look like he was going to Rutger Hauer me and try and stab my eye out, but like he looked so sad. He was just like, I thought you were the one, buddy. You missed out on a lifelong friendship we could have had,
Man, dude.
So, but if these guys would have just been friends, which they are kind of like, they have a connection. Well,
oh my God,
they got a connection.
Dude, okay, so I mean, right off the bat, I don't think if anyone follows us on Letterboxd or have just knows who we are, this is 100% our movie. This is totally in our wheelhouse. Like this movie got critically panned, and I think every single one of those critics are just flat-brained, smooth-brained, just uncultured swine. I get
not liking this. Like, I get it.
I don't get it.
Well, I get it not being your flavor.
I know.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
But it's just like to try and say that there's a problem with it. You're the problem guy.
No. Like, I mean that, and that's like, I'm being like hyperbolic. I'm obviously
everyone has an opinion.
There's clearly taste involved. But if you don't like this kind of film,
just out the gate, we're already like, fuck you if you don't like it.
I don't know who you are. Well, actually, I do know who you are. It's what is it, like Robert Ebert and
dude, I know.
What's his,
fucking Siskel and Ebert. Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel.
I know. I saw a thing with them, and they're like, it's about gay masochistic sex, and I'm like, what the fuck?
What? Yeah, no.
They're like, there's no redeeming qualities. I'm like,
I didn't realize like they're super Puritan, so I didn't realize that. And I think I think they also have the behind the scenes, like the writer originally made this like he did make this like crazy brutal. It was like super graphic, and it was cool because Rutger Hauer was like 100% on board.
Nice.
He wanted it to be more violent.
I wish it
and I wanted it to be more violent also.
We'll
newsflash for everyone there.
We'll get into it. We say it all the time. We're always just like, if this was just darker.
Yeah.
We like movies that just crush you and make you
little edgelords.
Yeah.
So. But I feel like this does have a little more subtext than normal like slashers. So, anyways, if you want to tell folks what we're doing.
Let's wing it. So this is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge. I didn't even say it. This is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. Thank you for being here. That's Jordan. I'm Levi.
Thank you.
Today we're talking about the 1986 film, The Hitcher, not the 2007 remake. which looks terrible. And also by then the hitchhiking had gone way out of fashion. But
I know. Yeah.
this guy, because I mean, this guy got picked up like 10 times. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like that's
like
his
everyone-
superpower. Is he just like you can't not pick him up?
and in the span of 12 hours, they drove like 4 states or something
Hey,
wild.
I just
that
watched.
that was my only criticism. But anyway,
I just watched Vanishing Point, and that's the whole plot. And it literally, the guy in Vanishing Point is doing the exact same thing. He's got a car, like a car service that he's got to get to California in a certain amount of time. It's the same, but like, yeah, but instead, instead of picking up a hitchhiker, he just is like, just running from the cops because he doesn't want to stop, and he made a bet.
Oh, that's sick. Oh, so it's like a Cannonball Run style.
Yeah.
Like it's that like that premise like around the world or something.
So quick
race.
For those of you who have not seen the film or haven't seen it in a while, we'll do a quick synopsis. So, The Hitcher. It's this kid. Jim is driving a car from like Illinois to California. He's in the middle of the desert. He's super sleepy, and then one early morning, out in the rain in the middle of the desert, he sees this guy hitchhiking. He picks him up, and immediately this guy is creepy as fuck. And he starts saying something. They see a broken down car on the side of the road, and he like puts his leg on the gas, makes him speed past it. And he's like, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh, that's the other." Like he's like, "What do you want?" He's like,
Dude,
"That's what the other guy said." And he's like,
immediately intimidates him, dude.
What?
It's so good. It reminiscent of freaking Death Proof.
Oh yeah, exactly. No, for sure, right? And so he's immediately terrifying, and he pulls out a knife, and he's like, "Do you know what it's like to pop an eyeball? You know what I mean? You ever seen a man get all this?" And he's like, "What do you want from me?" And he's like, "I want you to stop me." You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude,
he's so fucking terrifying.
And like it's cool because he's such a premonition that he gives him that proposition. And it's like, and that's the whole plot of that's like the whole driving force behind it. It's just like,
so
he's
good.
like, I want you to stop me.
Yeah. Well, so they're driving in, and eventually the door is slightly ajar. And I mean, they stop at a road crossing, and but the door is slightly ajar, and he kicks him out, and the Hitcher goes rolling down the road. And in the movie's name, he says his name's like Jack something, but that doesn't even, he's the Hitcher.
No, dude, his name is John Ryder.
Oh yeah, John Ryder.
Which is one of the greatest names for a hitchhiker.
That's not a real name though. That's why I'm like,
I know, clearly.
It's just he's just the Hitcher to me. I don't know. Anyway, but
yeah, okay, of course, yeah.
But the shot, he pushes him out of the car, and then there's the shot where he's like, oh, he did fight back a little bit, and it's like the shot on the road, and it's still from then on he's like obsessed with him, and so the kid keeps trying to go. He like stops at a gas station looking for help for a phone call. Oh no, he sees this other family. They get murdered. He finds this other family got murdered by the Hitcher in the middle of the road. So then he goes ahead, tries to call. The Hitcher shows up and blows up a gas station, almost kills him. And so he's running for his life, almost got blown up. He goes to this, he's seen like dead people now. He's been trying to get killed. He's had a rough morning. He shows up at this diner and runs into a girl named Nash, a completely unrecognizable Jennifer Jason Leigh.
I know, dude. When I saw her name in the credits, I was like, "Wait a minute, she's in this movie." And then when I saw her, I was like, "Oh, she's Nash." But like, what?
What?
Like, it was
sometimes some facial expressions I could see it, but like I had to look for it.
She was a little baby, dude.
I wouldn't have known.
So young. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So he meets this girl, and that works at the diner early in the morning. She's opening it up, and she's like, lets him in to use the phone, and she like cooks him a burger, and he's in there, and he's like getting cleaned up because he's got gas all over him from the gas station explosion. And then like he almost eats a finger that the Hitcher like came in there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So he calls the cops, and he's waiting for the cops to come, and then he runs outside when the cops show up, and he's like, "No, he's here." And the cops are like, "You fucker," and they arrest him because they think he's the guy doing all the crimes, right? So he's like, "No, I didn't do it." But then he's got the bloody knife in his jacket that he's like, "No, the Hitcher put it there." So he gets arrested and he gets taken to this police station, and they're like, "All right, bub." And they just like, be a bunch of dickhole cops, bloodthirsty cops, which they all are in this movie pretty much. But they put him in jail, and in real life, they put him in jail, and he takes a quick nap, and he wakes up, and the jail door is just open, and he's like, he goes out. And all the cops are dead. You like think it's a dream, and then it's just like, nope, all the cops are dead, and then more cops show up, and he knows he's gonna get blamed for that too because he's already on the hook. So he grabs a gun and fucking books it into the hills, and he's trying to, and it's just it's just a huge cat and mouse, and it's like things keep happening. Another cop shows up and he holds these two cops up at gunpoint. This movie never stops, dude. It's
No,
just
dude, it's 100%, dude. That is one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
He like holds those cops.
He's
He
just-
holds the cops hostage just so he can clear his name. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, you got to take me to a safer location. You know, like I can't be under arrest.
Yeah.
And then like Rutger Hauer just shows up and blasts the cops to death.
shoots him in the car.
Yeah.
And it's just like, now they think, because it's like he did call the police captain. It's like, hey, I have your two cops hostage. I want to turn myself in, but I need to be guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. I didn't do it. And then like then the two cops get shot to death and the car crashes. So it's obviously he's going to get blamed for that. He like runs in the desert screaming like, no. And it's rough. But, oh God. And then so he just keeps going. Eventually, more cops.
I mean,
he goes to get on the
gets
bus.
to
He
the-
sneaks on the bus, right? He sneaks on the bus.
That's where he meets Nash again.
And he's like worried that she's gonna recognize him because he's like laying low, and so like he grabs her and is like, "I didn't do it." On the bus, he's like, "I swear I didn't do it, but they're after me." Cops pull over the bus. He gets out and surrenders, and one of the cops is like, "Those were my friends." He's like, "Wipe the spit off my wrist," and he's like holding the gun like it's gonna make it look like he was going for his gun. He's gonna kill him. So Nash comes out with the gun that Jim dropped. And it's like, I saw you were about to kill him. That's fucked up. Don't you do it. And so she just jumps side and goes in both feet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she like, cause she doesn't believe that he could be a killer. So you know,
well,
she's on
she
board.
believes it. Believes in his eyes and all this, and the cops were about to fucking kill him in cold blood. So
Right.
so she does it. She's full on board. They get in the cop car, and they go on a fucking police chase. Million cops chasing them.
Epic fucking police chase, dude. Like when the first two cop cars flip, and I was like, wow, that's sick. But like, felt like this movie kind of has that low budget tinge. And so I was like, okay, it's sick. And then all of a sudden you hear,
I know, you just hear it.
the helicopter shows up, dude.
Yeah.
You just hear that, and the helicopter shows up, and I was like, hell yeah,
So-
baby.
so
now
good.
we're cooking, dude. And it just kept going.
But he shoots. It's like so funny. He just like, they're going so fast, and the cops are shooting at it, and they got this shotgun, and they're shooting at the cops. And they shoot the one tire. He slams on his brake. She shoots the tire of the one car.
Oh my god!
And the other car
oh my
just
God,
breaks,
that's so
but they both just go doof, and they just like fucking flip in the air out of nothing.
Yeah.
It's kind of goofy, but it's beautiful. Like you're into it. So it's great.
Right. I mean, this is like every action movie ever. You need this.
Helicopter shows up, and then the Hitcher shows up in his truck that he fucking killed some other guys for, and he shoots the helicopter out of the sky. And the cops all crash into the
He's got like a revolver. It crashes the helicopter, and then the cop cars flip around it. It's beautiful.
It's so good. And so they go to a hotel and they lay low, and they're laying low for a minute, and then Jim takes a shower and comes out, and Nash is gone, and it's super shady. And so he goes outside, and the cops are all there, and they're like, "Oh, you're the Jim guy." And he's like, "I didn't do it. And he's like, "I know. Come here. We need you."
Yes.
And he's like, "What the fuck?"
Dude, this is one of the greatest hostage situations in any show I've ever seen in my life.
So
dude.
cool. So he goes out, and Nash's feet are tied to like a trailer, and her arms are tied to the back of a semi truck, and the Hitcher's just in the truck about to pull forward and rip her in half.
Revving it, dude.
He's revving
He's
it.
just revving it.
And he's like, "Oh, he only wants to talk to you or whatever. If we shoot him, he'll slip off the clutch and he'll kill her." So he gets in the car, gets in the thing with him, and he's just like, "Here's a gun, pick it up, put it right to my head here, and pull the trigger." You know what I mean? And it's just like, do it. And then he's like, "No, you're gonna die." And he's like, "What a waste," you know. And then he just fucking kills her. He just like,
dude, it's brutal, dude. That like, I'm actually really sad because that was such a huge point of contention between the creators and the studio. Like that's a time where I'm like, that visceral gore would have been kind of like worth it. Like, and they weren't gonna do like her getting ripped apart and bloody entrails and
just
stuff.
a quick shot of like the shoulder popping out or
her
something.
shoulders
Anything.
popping out. Yeah, it would be like a shoulder, like her shoulders, her face, and then it was like, and then the noise and blood. You know, it would have been like they would have done it tastefully. But anyways,
that honestly,
it's still effective. It's still effective. Like it, but
is my biggest complaint of the movie. Is
Yeah.
not just that scene, but like they often pull their punches,
and they had to fight. They had to fight a studio though. That's what
which
sucks. Is like
makes sense.
This movie really had to fight a studio.
Makes sense. If they would have just had like, I want to see. I wasn't entirely sure about the dead family. You didn't see anything. It's just blood. Like for an 80s genre film, I was expecting more violence, and especially the context of the film. Because, like, the only time you actually, like, you see a lot of after the fact, some violence, but the only time you really ever see any actual, like, his words are extremely violent and scary. But the only time you ever see is when he shoots those cops. That's the only time you ever see, like, squibs, like, actually things happening. Like, he shoots that cop, and the cop's like, ah, you know?
Right.
And that's it. That's pretty much it.
And I mean,
and then at the end,
too, I guess,
and then
when
at the end,
he gets shot.
Which,
so and to wrap it up, that's like for the plot. The end. It's like she gets ripped apart.
He
and
gets
then his
arrested.
Motivation is, right. Like, So Rooker Howard gets arrested, and then he breaks out of they're transporting him to jail. He breaks out, kills everybody, and then it's a final showdown between him and Jim.
Jim finally,
and,
he's like, the cop is like, no, you don't have anything to do with this anymore. And he fucking takes the cop's gun after he's off scot-free, and he's like, no, I can't. Like, he's fucked up and changed now. He's like, you'll never stop him. He's a ghost, or whatever. And so he does. He comes down and he gets last minute, he fucking gets the shotgun from the Hitcher and blows him, fucking lights him up on the side of the freeway. And it's like, he couldn't be happier. He loved it.
And one of the sexiest shots too at the end when he walks over to his car and it's just that sunset shot and he's just leaning in the window smoking a cigarette
over the credit. He's just so exhausted. He just like lights the cigarette and just sits there against the smashed up cop car, just smoking a cigarette over credits. It's great. It's really great.
I loved this film, and like, I mean that. So we're
obviously
right.
Yeah,
we've been gushing about it, but
it just never stopped. I was like, oh, okay. Rutger Hauer, off the go, terrifying. Like, he's just in that dark car, being trapped with him. Sounds so scary.
That's so beautiful. That's the thing. I don't know what it was. Like, I guess I went in this with like zero expectations. Like, I've never really heard of this movie. So like, when I saw the credits and I was like, oh, Rutger Hauer, well, he's like one of the greatest. He has one of the greatest like humanizing, bad guy performances ever. Like, he's like one of the greatest villains that's ever existed. And so I was like, cool, I'm really excited to see him in this. And then the second he gets into the car, I'm like, he did it again. He's such a good actor, dude.
He's so good, and his piercing blue eyes, man,
oh my
are
god,
haunting. Man. Like the
and
shot,
like whatever, like he's like Austrian or
some
whatever
makes
whatever
sense.
His ethnicity is, it gives him that like, I don't know, some weird.
Yeah, it's
quality.
I don't know what it is. It's like his piercing blue eyes, but from the get go, I was like, oh, okay, I'm here for this. And then I thought it was gonna be this whole. I knew it was gonna be like cat and mouse, but it's just like when I didn't expect it to keep fucking shit's blowing up, and then by the time he gets to the fucking police station, I was like, what is this? What is happening?
Dude, so that's the whole thing with the finger.
Oh yeah. See, I was like, is that real? Like,
I'm like, exactly. I was like, this is like really surreal. So I don't quite understand.
It's weirdly
what's going on.
surreal, right?
And then they do the cop scene, and I'm like, oh, they're going like full cerebral on this. Like, this is totally gonna be like elevated horror. And then they start doing some more slasher style, murders and like, I don't know, man, dude. The conversations that they have, like when they're at the diner and he puts the pennies on his eyes.
Yeah,
like,
dude, I kind of forgot about that.
Like,
yeah,
this is so like, and it's so funny though. The second he sat down with him, and it's like his fingers are bloody and he's got 2 wedding rings on, and you're just like, holy fuck, this guy is terrifying, and I don't understand exactly what's going on, And so, but that second he sat down, I was like, oh man, dude, if like the Coen brothers didn't get Anton Chigurh prototype from this.
Oh, dude, honestly though, he's channeling
and then he
some
gets
crazy.
the coins out. He gets like the coins and puts them on his eyes, and I'm like, he's just well, really though. I'm like, oh, he's like the like a death personified as a human being that like it's just like, I don't know, and somebody like, and like all the motivation wrapped up into it, where he's like, it's like the simple call to action, where he's like, you need to stop me. That's that's his character motive. Stop
and
me.
it's so good, and
Jim
that's why
has
it's
to
like
stop him. It's so simple, but like
that's why it's such good character growth too, because it is so simple, but it's just like it's so effective that it's just like, even though he's arrested, Jim didn't stop him, so he's not stopped. Like there's some weird, like he's a fucking Jim somehow dreamt him into life or something, because now he has to.
No, and it does that with like Anti-Chigurh, where you're like he's not
Is he
human. But then
yeah,
he is.
it's like
he breaks his arm at the end, and you really like that's when you're like, oh no, he's just driven essentially.
Yeah.
There's something that like there's like a redeeming quality in his drive, like, but it's just like he's so violent and it's so like it's just the way he goes about teaching his lesson. You're like it's brutal, and the entire time this movie was going, I was waiting for it to kind of like ebb, but
Right.
it was flowing, baby. Like the entire time I was like, wow, okay, this movie isn't gonna let up, and that was dope. Like
it never lets up, and I like because it literally just every scene, because it's like when he wakes up at the police station, it's like, this can't be real, and it really is. It's just like he's like Michael Myers, dude. He just like shows up. He's just gone.
when he's in the hotel,
Yeah.
and it's just like the headlights go across him. He's just standing there, and I'm like, God, he's
terrifying.
so menacing. He
So
was
menacing.
perfectly cast, and I actually really want to see more of his projects now. I've
Me too.
never really seen Rutger Hauer do his stuff.
I know. Yeah, it's so good just that egging him on. So it really is good for like Jim and that kid. I forget his name. It's like C something, but he did a surprisingly good job too. Like it was definitely like felt like a big weird '80s performance in a way, and like it's hard to keep up with Rutger Hauer because he's like really he's like obviously just completely owns every scene he's in. But it's like he holds his own, and it's like he's got some moments like when he finally when he kicks him out of the car and he's just like, yeah, fuck you, buddy,
Yeah. Well, and he just came off of did you ever see The Outsiders?
Oh yeah.
So
is he in that? I don't remember it all that well, but yeah.
Thomas Howell, yeah, he plays Ponyboy, I believe, is what.
Oh.
And so like he's great in that movie, and I didn't recognize him. I've seen Outsiders, and it's awesome. And so like but I was just like, oh, he did Outsiders. Oh, and he did Red Dawn too. So it's like he's just coming off like he has kind of that like kind of cool boy, fun boy charm, And so like the whole time in The Hitcher, I was like, oh, like I thought they were gonna make him like really, really soft, but then like there are a lot of times where he does like he has that like he's like, I'm freaking out, no one's believing me, and like he gets the gun and he's like, you gotta believe me, like
I know. I was not I thought like every time I think I know where it's gonna, like obviously in the moment I'm like, oh okay, the Hitcher's gonna like, I know the anatomy of a scene. It's like this is the shot, like it's gonna pan over and it's like showing the empty space and here's where the jump scare is or wherever. But it's like I never knew where each scene was gonna go to the next scene, where it's like I certainly didn't expect him I'm like, okay, he's arrested. So let's see where it goes with that. And then it's like immediately he wakes up and all the cops are killed and he's like framed. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then like in the next scene, he literally, I did not expect, like I expected, oh, he's going to be hiding from the cops or hiding from it. And the next scene, he literally just, when he pulls the gun on those two cops, like he just rushes them out of the phone booth with the gun. I was like, well, I did not, like it shocked me. I felt like he was holding me up, man. I was like, whoa, shit.
Definitely, yeah.
But it's like, this movie kept doing that, where it kept just being like, oh yeah, and then bam, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's relentless. It is relentless. Like, I don't know. It keeps going, and the pace is perfect, because the only times it ever slows down at all is like just the quick scenes with Nash at the beginning and Nash at the end, and that's pretty much it. And even then, that's only like a few brief moments.
Right, and any kind of lull is like well deserved.
It's a breather. It's like a release valve,
Yeah, and it like, but it's great because it's like it does set up to build tension for that, either the next scene or right at the end of that scene, to like get you into something else. Like everything they did in this, it's like every shot would be like of the feet walking, and like I feel like the score accompanied this perfectly. It had such a good like moody vibe that I loved it. Am I frozen?
Yeah, dude, you've been frozen for a while,
but
I'm like your audio is working, so whatever.
Yeah, it's fine, I guess. I like noticed I was like, oh, I don't think I've been moving. I don't really watch it.
Okay, at least because I'm like, it's definitely Discord, but I don't know if you know on your end or what. But So if you're watching the YouTube, you just get to see this beautiful. This is Jordan's face of like he's really got something to say. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. I'm getting into it. Well, it probably wasn't my diatribe of how elevated I feel like this script is. Like it like
weirdly
truly,
so, right? Like it's
right. Yeah.
I don't know. Like it does because it's also got like a weird supernatural air to it, just like and like just enough of like this surreal vibe and like. The whole time I knew they weren't gonna do it, but the whole time I was questioning. I'm like, is the Hitcher real?
Is he real? Well, dude, I was like, is he Tyler Durden right now? Like,
I know, like that's kind of what I was
got that vibe
thinking. But...
where I'm like, is it? Because it's the scene when he does hold up the cop, right at the end. There's like, it's just, it's like you could really get into this movie like deep in the weeds, but the audio because they're driving really fast. The audio changes and it's ADR and it's kind of it's noticeable and it almost sounds like freaking the Hitcher is talking through him and being like you gotta go back for him or something, whatever he says, like he's like you gotta stop, like I gotta finish this, like it's almost like he's being commanded. And there's so many parts like that where like, and a lot of it this does get you into dreamland where he'll fall asleep. And it'll be like that waking like dream right before you fall asleep, and then he'll wake up. Yeah. So you don't know how much time he's been asleep. It's only been seconds, that. And then and then the police doors open.
And his backstory is just as nebulous. Like we know nothing about Jim.
I know. Well, and that's where I got confused. I realize now that he is in Texas, and he's been driving from Chicago,
right?
Because he had the Illinois plates, and that's where he picked up the car. So they did meet in Texas. So it all takes place just in that one. So the time frame works because it is like 4 a.m. till dawn, from dusk till dawn.
Is this a 24-hour movie?
Hell yeah,
it
baby.
is. Yeah.
100%, baby.
So good.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I gotta put that on my.
That's another layer, man. You do have that,
dude.
yeah.
I have my Letterboxd 24-hour films. I gotta put this on that.
That's nice. Dude. Yeah.
Oh, it is. I love.
It makes it even better, yeah.
And this is like the full breadth of the 24 hours, basically. I mean, it's like.
Oh, God, I know. Because
because
you really don't. The whole time I was like, everything. If they did the Tyler Durden switcheroo, if they did the whole like, it's him actually. Right. He's doing the killing. This is like.
I was nervous the whole time about them sticking the landing, and I think they did.
I think
it's fine. Like it's satisfying, and then the shot really helps. The end shot, like
right. I was sort of bummed. Not like bummed, but like when he did do, I was intrigued enough that I wasn't like bummed. But when the only time you finally are like, okay, there's an actual real separation where someone other than the girl is like acknowledging him is when she's tied to the truck and he's in the truck. And it's like, okay, this is clearly two individuals.
It's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible for him to, that was, and I think that's,
but you still could see it as like an internal struggle. Like there is kind of like a case to be made for
he could just be sitting in the driver's seat and they're trying to talk to him. And then he drives away. You know, I mean, there is. Yes, and that's the whole thing. That's where I'm like, this movie, I'm surprised this movie doesn't get talked about because this totally has, like, the Fight Club implications. Like, this totally, like, I mean, I guess it feels definitive because of that scene, you know? But I'm still like, the whole time, I'm like, is he real? I can't, I really don't know.
And even in, like, because, like, I've moved past long ago, like, trying to exactly figure out, like, a lot of movies, it doesn't really matter what's real, what's not real, depending on the movie, right? It's just like, what is the movie trying to say? Like, what is this trying to mean? And so it's like, even without that, it's like, is this just trying to say, like, is it like about his character growth? Is this like his confrontation of like, is it a coming of age type of vibe where it's like him and his like violent nature? Or like, I don't know, like it feels like it could connect to any of those things because it is like mysterious and vague enough that it's like you can fill in the blanks without it having to, like, you can make it kind of be about whatever you want in a way, which is sometimes would annoy me, but it's good in this.
Right. No, yeah, I understand. And
I never know if I'm going to lose you. I'm talking and then I'm like, is he still there?
Sorry, yeah.
No, you're good.
I know. I got it. Yeah, I don't know. I'll make like.
I'm just going to go every once in a while.
Yeah, clicking noises. Like, yeah, go,
yeah, just do the ASMR. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that you have a great point about this not this structure failing often. Like I feel like I've seen movies that do this, and I feel like they're meandering and just kind of, and just like, and they lose it. Like they just don't have that intensity. And I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe because this is like, it's a character study for two people, and it gives me that No Country vibes. Like it just, it has a lot of like the cinematography in No Country as well. And like I love the film look in this.
Yeah.
And I love the landscape through this, and it's car months, baby. So we're like all the cars that got just blasted up in this and flipped
I was
around.
so nervous.
And they're beautiful too, because they're just like, when the gas station scene, he just is plowing through shit and burning out the tires. It's beautiful.
I wasn't like, because it's like, it's always a gamble sometimes when I'm doing the polls every month and I pick, and a movie wins, or I put a movie on there that I'm like, I haven't seen, because I don't know for sure how it's going to fit into the theme, right? So it's like Bullet, for example. I'd never seen it, but had I seen it, I honestly probably wouldn't have put it on the list, because it is not a driving movie to me.
Right. I mean,
but
yeah. Right?
I'm like this movie
is
in so much in it. It is. Sure.
Right. Right.
But it's like,
I know what you mean.
The fact that this movie was so much in a car and about like all the important scenes happen in a car, even her getting torn in half like some medieval peasant with two horses going the opposite way was a truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it all clicked. And then like at the end, like he's caught, and I'm like, okay, where's it going to go? They're making this guy an actual guy, but they still don't know his name. And they're literally like, so where are you from? And he's just like, Disneyland. Like, he's just like,
yeah, that's so cool.
He's just like, still just like, I don't know. And then he gets so excited when he's like, I guess I'm caught. But then he's like, oh, he sees his chance. He's like, I can't just stop. I need to be stopped. Kills the cops.
Yeah,
and
yes, that's what I love too. Yeah, it's like
good.
he's like, my mission's not over. And like, and that, that's, it's like, I can see this movie being, tough to get behind, because it is vague. But like,
and it's like
I love what you can infer from like their conversations, and like it does feel like, I'm like, oh, his motivation just kind of turns into like, now it's helpless. Like, and it's cool because it's not like a strict love. I love that it's like, they're not like, we're in undying love now. Like they didn't force that. It just was like, she was like, well, this isn't fair. I'm going to support you. And now we're both kind of in the deep shit here, and like after like the chase scene and stuff, where she's like, oh my God, like we're in it together. And then she gets kidnapped early enough that like, you don't really have to worry about her character. Like the fact that they just killed her off, I was like, oh, cool. Like,
literally,
I'm glad they did that, because I like did not want them to make it a love scene, like a love,
it's
narrative for
ballsy.
that.
Like it is. It's unexpected because you are used based on years of what, like just film lexicon and film language, just like the literacy of things. Like you expect it to go that way, where it's just like, oh, okay, this is obviously the love interest from the beginning at the diner, but the only thing is like, she's the only person that helps him and believe him. So there is a connection. But as soon as they run away together, they're together for like not even 10 minutes. And then she gets fucking ripped in half. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Which,
I know, yeah,
that's beautiful.
That's what's great. It's like, it's just great. It's great that like, the destruction that, I mean, that even just like, it just, I don't know. That's it. It's the momentum of this movie got me. I like the whole time, just from the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh shit, I'm in it. I'm totally here. Like, he passes the beetle and he just like tells him to keep going. And I'm like, oh my God, like I feel it. And they did such a good job with that.
And he's
like,
it's so menacing too, where it's just like, he's like, what happened to that guy? He's like, I don't imagine he got very far. And he's like, why? He's like, because I cut off his legs. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh boy. But like, it's interesting what you say about like character development, because it's like, even though we don't know about like, usually when you think character development or like not character development, but like a character driven story, it's like you're thinking like usually there's like exposition, like you'll know about all them. It's a character study, right? But it's like this movie's so much more based in like the nature of like their actions, and it's like about like just classic where he sets up the, like he says, this is call to action. Like it's like how he changes and develops, but it's just like you don't know who he is and what is about other than through his actions, which is like kind of better than like I don't want a bunch of, for either of them, I don't want like a big exposition dump of their backstory and stuff. It's like we know he says he has a brother, but it's like we don't hear from that guy. You know what I mean? And I think that's just like a smart way to do it, especially for this kind of movie. And I can definitely understand how someone wouldn't like this just because if they can't suspend their disbelief enough. Because it's like there are a lot of things that happen that are like heightened movie reality, like the cars flipping and stuff and shooting down the helicopter and all that.
And even like I think right at the beginning, him continuing to drive him, it's like that the second he stops and he's like, I'm gonna get out, but then like he forces him, like the fact that he doesn't fight it more, kind of it's like it's a little that is suspension of disbelief where you have to be like, I feel like his character, even though he's timid, that's the whole point, but I still feel like he'd be like, please get out. Like I feel like he'd be more pleading. He didn't seem as pathetic as I expected him to be. But then
right.
I mean, but later it goes on. God, dude, that sorry, there's a video playing right now on IMDb and it's the gas station scene. And that is that's like, you know, 101 of just tension building. Like of just him running through the gasoline and he lights the match and like it's so cool. I don't know. That's
and he drives the flaming when the car comes swirling out of the parking lot and the car's just like flaming
on fire.
Dope.
It's beautiful. And it's just so like this. I mean, I can't stress it enough. We love practical, and like this movie's 100% practical. So it's like, and it's beautiful. And actually they do such a good job at like keeping it's like there's like what 4 sets in this whole thing, and then the rest is just on the road, and it's like. It's nice. It's not boring. I don't know. That was like it was a breath of fresh air. I was very nervous from like, you know, from just what this description is and what this movie is. This movie really could have turned and been
because I'd known about it. I'd heard that it's been like it's like a kind of like an underrated gem. It barely missed out on my Horrortober list. Like it was on there, but I crossed it out. I barely missed it that I wanted to put it. So I've been wanting to watch it for a long time just because I heard it was good, but it was like I still didn't ever know what to expect other than I've heard people being like, people are like, oh, it's a road thriller, and people are like, no, it's a slasher movie, and I'm like, interesting, right. And it is. It's both. I mean, it's a fucking road slasher.
That poster, there's like I don't know if it's like Criterion poster or what the poster it was on Plex. The advertisement for that, but it's like a knife.
Like the knife.
It's the knife with the car, and then the reverse lights are on, and then there's the bloody tip of the knife.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a beautiful poster. Like I can't believe.
I know, like
they got away with it.
Yeah, man. I don't know. This movie was like you say, it was a breath of fresh air. Because I'm really glad you liked it too. Because it's like I never know for sure. Because I saw like. Usually we don't even do our letterbox until like a little bit later.
Yeah,
but
right.
I did mine and I gave it 4 stars, but I gave it a heart because I'm like, it does have its, like I do think it's got its flaws by pulling its punches, but obviously that's a studio thing. I wish there was more diegetic music for how much time they spend in the car. Like there could be like a song.
No, I totally agree. There and like nowhere had it like seemed it almost felt like a post-apocalyptic film.
Yeah,
like half the time they were in like these like really tiny diners that were nobody. It was desolate. It was so weird. Yeah,
always like how many desolate road stops were there? Like like old gas stations, old fucking truck stops. Like that's all.
And that also there's my open my conspiracy theory brain here, dude. That's totally what I'm like. I feel like that was intentional. Like I feel like they wanted to make it like that. Where he's like everyone's isolated. It's like so isolating, but yet like he could be around the corner.
Well,
that's what's beautiful.
It is.
He could be right there.
And it's important that it's a driving movie because it's like this movie feels so claustrophobic, so isolated. You can't get away, and yet you're flying down the road in a car, which is like the symbol of ultimate freedom. And it's perfect that they're able to take this symbol of like this, of basically the idea of like the open road on road tripping, like this huge thing. Like you got to watch Vanishing Point because that is about like freedom, right? That's like the whole point of the movie.
Right. And, I mean, you said it was similar to like fucking, oh my god,
like Easy Rider, kind of.
Easy Rider,
the vibes,
which is great.
Easy Rider vibes.
That's a freedom.
Yeah,
you know.
But the fact that they did that and they made this movie feel so claustrophobic because it's like the exterior shots are really good. Like the cinematography in this, even though it's like that's the thing. This movie's got a little jank around the edges, but it's like so endearing.
That's like the punk rock of it. Like it's low budget '80s, kind of riding the fine line of thriller and horror and like, you know,
and action.
Like
Like it's
character
you don't,
drama. Yeah,
you don't see this much action in like a quote unquote horror movie, but like this movie is a horror movie, and it's also a thriller, and it's also an action movie, which is like it works as all three, which is why it's so good. But it's like the cinematography is great, but I mean, you get some shaky camera, like unintentional shaky camera every now and again from you could tell the camera's just rattling hard, you know?
yeah.
But like, you know, you get like these sweeping, beautiful wide shots of the landscapes in the car, but then like the scene, like even the first scene when they're in the car together, after that, it's like just the oppressive rain. There's no exterior shots. It's just the two of them, nothing but close-ups. It's close-up on your face, close-up on my face, fucking close-up of the knife in my crotch. You know what I mean? And it's like the
I love, dude, that knife scene was all improvised. He pulled the knife out without him knowing about it.
Shut the fuck up, really?
Dude, so good. So it's just like, imagine like that, like all of that, like that is all genuine fear. Like him with the knife, like the idea of him having a weapon and a knife that existed in the script, but what he was going to do with it wasn't blocked. There was no action, and it was just Rutger Hauer like getting the knife out and being like, "I'll get you, buddy." Like, I just like, God, he's terrifying. He's terrifying.
Hey, so well, and it's like, I like, because it's like early on the mystery. You see, like, you know, like you only hear him talk about it, but you see the broken down bug, and then it's just right. You see the family and they're playing, and then the reveal of him behind the teddy bear, and he's like, "Hi."
Oh my God, that's so good.
that's classic fucking slash. And then it's like, then he finds them down the road, and it's like they're implied they're all dead, and it's like, oh, okay, he like killed this family of 4, you know what I mean, or whatever, like, and these children. This guy has no bounds. But I wish, and I understand the studio didn't want to show a bunch of dead kids or whatever, but it's like the inferno, because I was like, initially I was like, oh, well, where are they? You know what I mean? I was like, are they out in the desert? Did he take them? Like, what happened? You know?
Yeah.
But then it's just like he leaves Carnage behind and then somehow gets in another car, and he just finds the blood, and then it's like, oh, okay, I guess they're all dead, which makes sense. But I mean, I would have loved even just a little more, like blood on the windows, just a little bit of blood on the windows to help bring that around to show, because his presence is menacing enough and his words are very terrifying, but it's just like to see the carnage that he leaves behind. It's like, I just wish there were more, like just a little bit more, because I kept feeling like they had it there and they fucking softball threw it up and they just had to whack it out of the park, and they whacked it, but it ended up going straight to the shortstop. You know what I mean? And
no,
it's still so good, but it's like those scenes do leave me kind of, you know, because we're gore junkies apparently, and we just like everything.
I know,
dark.
right? When they
but the blue balled me like, just a bit. You know what I mean?
Complete, they didn't want to go complete gore. So that's what, like, I guess
which
that
is fine.
Kind
it
of
works without it. It works without it.
Right. I mean, this movie is super effective, and I am curious what it would be like if, like, I mean, I don't know. You need all the violence. So it's like, I think it just, I don't know. I gave this 4.5 stars. So I'm like, this is almost,
that's huge for you.
It's almost perfect to me. Like, and it's so funny because it just hits the vibe. It is,
well,
it's everything I want.
Because we ended up watching like the German Blu-ray, because apparently that's the highest version of it. But it's like, you can find this movie for free on YouTube, but it's like there's no good like release of it. But I heard they're gonna do like a 4K Blu-ray re-release or something, which I so hope they do, because I will 100% watch this movie again. And again, I can understand, like, I feel like
I feel like this is a very personal film, honestly. Like, I didn't want to watch this in a, like, I wouldn't be like, oh, this is a fun, like, horror movie or something, let's throw it on. It's like, it's not campy. It kind of does what, like, angst does.
Yeah, a little bit.
You're like, oh man, this is like really well made, but it's a little challenging to watch, and like, you know, I love what I'm watching.
It's got there's just a little bit of jank, and I could which is the low budget showing, right, or whatever, in studio stuff, but like, it gives it a charm. But I can see someone, if it's like, you could take this movie at complete face value and it's still enjoyable. But it, like, again, if you're if you don't let the movie take hold, and I think that's really important for like a lot of movies. I think as someone who watches films, you should, listener, like open up to them sometimes. Like I know, like sometimes it's hard for me. I'll like get all fucking buttered, but I'm like, if I show this to a movie that's like if I show this movie to someone who's like very literal, has a very like mindset, like they're probably gonna think it's boring, and like cars flip, like the shotgun blasts are cheesy, like or whatever, you know. And it's not, but it's like you do like. I feel like this is a perfect example of the importance of suspension of disbelief in films. Like, you really do got to just kind of like lean into it. Like, you have to lean into it, and it will hug you in its warm embrace.
Yeah, I mean that's very apt. I definitely agree. You have to let this movie wash over you, and it did for me. It bathed me in its cleansing waters, and I loved it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I definitely want to watch it again one day because, like, I really hope it gets that 4K.
Dog
release.
scene is beautiful when he leaves, and you just like see the dog, and it's just like, I loved like the ADR on this, and I loved like all the sound.
It was good, yeah. It was surprisingly good.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like they definitely. You want a little money minute right now?
Sure,
Before
yeah.
You do,
yeah, later on.
Reddit, because this movie definitely stretched it was a $6 million budget, which I think like probably went to Rutger Hauer and all of the
VFX, the cars,
like every stunt that had to happen.
They crashed a helicopter, and they did that. They just did that.
Right? No, for reals. I bet you $1 million. It was like some Texas, like local news station was like, well, we're getting new helicopters next year, so you can have our old
buy these at auction or whatever.
Yeah, right. They bought it for like $10,000 or something. But anyways, $6 million I think is it's like that's modest for this time, sure.
Yeah, I think it's crazy.
Decent, but it's just like I don't know. I feel like they had a great script, so it's like it doesn't matter what the budget was, know. Like
it's decent. Like it's a big enough budget to have the money men making more decisions. Because it's like if this were like $1 million budget, they wouldn't have got away with it much, but they might have had like more freedoms, but they wouldn't have had the money to do their vision. So it's like I think that's a good compromise. Like just because I didn't get the gore, I do think that's still a good compromise because this movie. And I mean, it's still incredibly violent.
Do you know what?
You know what I mean? It's still a violent movie.
I do love it, and I think this is kind of the, when studios meddle, it's hard because like they look at it from a little different perspective. They're looking at it from a financial perspective.
Well, this is a risk. Yeah. How much did it make?
And, I mean, this flopped like hardcore.
Yeah.
This
unfortunately,
only made $5.8 million. So. It definitely didn't even make its money back, and so it was a flop. And I think that I don't know if it's 100%, the downfall of whatever his name is, Robert Harmon, the director.
Mm-hmm.
But this was his first film, and then this leads me to the thing I wanted to talk about for a second. I just had to say it. He kind of just went down a series of these like thrillers essentially. And he directed a movie called They, which I've like really wanted to see for a long time. But he kind of just after this movie, he started doing like some like simpler thrillers, and then he does like a mafia style one. Then he does They, which looks dope, and then he does The Highwaymen, which kind of sounds like a reprise of this film. Which
it's
like,
so many,
awesome.
it's like fucking Tom Selleck and Jesse Stone movies. So many.
Can we get into that? What is going on? He directed like 10 Jesse Stone. Like those are dad movies, dude. When we were those are dad.
I don't know if I want to do dad movies now because I'm definitely gonna have to watch like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie or something.
I know, exactly. But dude, and then he directs like. He's done the series Blue Bloods. Like he started that. It's
weird.
It's wild. He's done 23 episodes of this Blue Bloods with Tom Selleck. So him and Tom Selleck are just like best buds, I guess, because he's making movies with him. So, but anyways, he's got a fine career. He's
Side note to you, They is fine.
Oh, is it not that good?
I mean, I saw it years ago. I saw it like shortly after it came out Well, I guess a little while. I mean, I saw it in high school, right, or junior high.
Oh, okay, yeah. 2006 when you saw every movie that's ever been made.
I watched because I was just grounded, and I was only allowed to go to the library and sit in my room, so I just rented movies like crazy. But
right. They were like, there are books at the library, and you're like, fuck books.
I mean, I still read books, but yeah, but I was like, I read when I was a fucking nerdy 10-year-old. I'm a big boy 13-year-old now or whatever. But yeah, they was
in high school.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's when it started. I mean, like I had always liked movies, obviously. Before we all know about you and I know about our love for film backstory started young, but it's like, but that's when I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna. That's stupid. Yeah. That's when I started making my own movies, right?
I know, right? And then high school is definitely when we were like, we're coming into our own. We found kind of our niche, and this dude, the Hitcher is definitely my niche.
I'm glad I finally watched it, and I'm glad that it exceeded my, modest expectations. Like I didn't really know what to expect, but I'm really glad that it exceeded it, and it's gonna live good in my mind. So I'm glad we got a good one. Yeah, they's only got 2.4 on Letterboxd. That's too bad. So yeah. So I'm pulling up a Reddit. I'm pretty sure you got to go do the survey, bub.
Oh, I did it. I did the survey.
Okay.
Everybody in podcast land, come to r/coldest of knowledge, do our survey, come chat. If you want to come leave a comment, we'll read it out loud on the pod.
Yeah, I like seeing the survey's fun just because I like seeing how close everyone aligns on certain aspects of the movie and how far they align sometimes.
But dude, sometimes, God, what was it? There was one the other day for, I think it was either, I can't remember, but it was so vastly different. Yeah. There was like, someone was like 4 and then everyone was like 10 or something. I can't remember.
Might have been Bullet. So we're about to see a vastly different opinion than ours probably. So thank you, Clones Are People Too, in advance for being here every week. So his comment says, first watch, I didn't know much about this at all, so I went into it pretty blind. I liked it overall, but it went in waves for me. Sometimes I was into it, sometimes I was hoping it would hurry up, or that it was being ridiculous. Rutger Hauer was a very good, unfilling killing machine. It would have been amazing if he turned out to be a replicant. And I really liked when the dynamic changed and Jim became hunted by the cops. I think the film was held back by not leaning more into exploitation. It feels like it wants to go more into gore, but is trying to put a deeper meaning into everything and misses the mark for me. My favorite stunt was when the 2 cop cars flipped at once after the sudden braking. Overall, it was worth seeing, but it's hard to rate it above a 6.5 out of 10. So,
ooh, okay.
Thank you for commenting.
Thank you. And I think that totally like tracks with, your takeaway. This is a movie that like, you need to, it's definitely a mood movie. Like you need to be kind of in that mood for it to work.
Yeah.
But
I agree with those flaws. I just didn't, for me, they just weren't like as big of a deal. They weren't deal breakers in any way. It's like, I definitely do feel like it would have benefited from leaning into the exploitation and the gore, you know what I mean? Like that. I didn't ever feel like it was slow or didn't get into it. Like I thought the pace was extremely good, but especially for like this kind of movie, it was kind of surprising.
Right, and I think that must be it was just the pace kept me.
But I'm interested to see because I'm pretty sure some of his things on the survey are like pretty different. So I'm interested to see the dynamic. This is a movie I wish like Pablo and Gat would have watched. You know what I mean? I think they would have liked it.
Yeah, I know.
Pablo would have liked it for sure. Gat, you never know.
Gat, I don't know. Gat's the wild card, dude. I literally cannot pin him down.
Yeah, but
I wonder if David's seen this.
Sure. It seems right up his alley. You know what? I bet he has.
I bet he has.
Yeah, I bet he has because it's like I actually feel like I saw he had a letterbox for it.
If you,
not watched
dear listener and podcast land out there, if you have seen this film and you'd like to, interact with us and give us your thoughts and opinions, you can email us at coldestofknowledge@gmail.com. You can come to Reddit.
Yes.
You can come to our Patreon. It's an amazing place to be.
It is. The YouTubes. I I read them all.
Definitely.
I try to
You too.
we try to respond to them all.
I'm gonna be dancing cubes on YouTube.
Yeah. Even if you comment years after the fact, I still get a notification and I still will try and come respond to you. So if you're listening to this in the future and we've already moved past it, it's like, yeah, the film club lives and breathes in the moment. We do a week to week thing, but it's just like, you know, if you watch the Hitcher a year from now and you find our thread or you find our video or something and you want to have something to say it. And I'll still try. I'd still love to hear from you. You know what I mean? I still like getting I get old comments every week or something, and it's great.
Hell yeah.
So
I love it.
Anyway, I don't have anything else to say. I do think this movie is definitely, if you don't like it or if you do like it, I mean, if you're Robert Eager and you fucking 0 out of 5 stars, then,
I know.
then you're wrong.
Trash take, dude. What a trash take.
He's got like occasionally a good take, but he's fucking a moron a lot of the time. Some of his takes are just like, what the fuck? Anyway, but you know, to each his own. You know what I mean? I get it. It's like taste is subjective, and it's like this is definitely up our alley. And like Clones of People 2 said, it does seem like it reaches to try and be something deeper, but it's not definitive about like its quote unquote message or quote unquote like theme. Like it doesn't have definitive answers. But I like that. You know, I think in this case it works.
I think it successfully, it does delve deeper. And I mean, I think that's what's hard is like it delves deeper for being a slasher. Like being this like thriller, it like actually gives you more. I mean, I'm going to keep comparing it to No Country because that's the exact, it has the exact same story beats to me.
Even if there's nothing there, that's the beauty of film, is because a movie like this, or any movie, but it's just like the fact that this movie could be so superficial on the surface, but you and I are thinking more deeply about it and talking. I mean, obviously we have to talk about it like because we have a fucking podcast about it, but it's just like the fact that it just makes you think and ponder over it. Like I've been thinking about this movie since I watched it yesterday. You know what I mean? It's like I've been thinking about it all day, and it's like not just because it was so cool and so good, but it is because I am trying to like pick apart like some of the meanings, because even if they don't have definitive, like the author's like, this is what this means, it's an allegory for whatever, like so many other movies are so obvious about it. It's like this one is just like, no, I just wanted to, leave, it's art. And so it's like, it's even if it doesn't have a definitive answer, it's fun to ponder over and trying to kind of assign theories to just be vague. I feel like a lot of people don't like the vagueness and don't like things that are like surreal, or not even surreal, but that aren't like 100% literal. Like, God bless my wife. She doesn't listen to this, but I'm not talking shit, but she has a very literal mind. She's definitely like a fucking A-type personality. And so any movie, like she will take any movie just completely at face value. So if it's like anything that's like metaphors or like fucking all this, she's just like, she doesn't like it. She just doesn't have time for it. It's not even that she doesn't get it. It's just that her brain doesn't want to engage with film in that way, which that's our whole thing. Yeah.
Subtext is silly. It is silly. It's like you're like, you can like be direct. There are plenty of movies that are very direct.
Oh yeah.
And so
you don't need to.
And very, very successful. So it's like, I think that's why I was so drawn to this, is because I expected this to be direct. And so the fact that it wasn't, I was like, oh, damn. Okay, cool. There's like one layer to this that I did not expect. I thought it was going to be just basic thriller cat and mouse. And so like the fact that like, I was like, oh shit. Okay. Like, cool. Like there's some like, he's kind of living in this dream void, and like, that like the writer, John Ryder,
it is very dream like. This feels like a fever dream.
And that's what it was. The tension is beautiful. He could just pop up anywhere. So I loved it.
Because even Robert Eager's stupid fucking view about it being secretly about sadomasochistic gay sex in the 80s.
Just like, yeah.
The fact that he could even make that leap about what is essentially a slasher action movie is sort of a testament that the movie kind of just, I don't know, the fact that it's such a far spectrum of, possible thoughts that come about of it. It's cool.
God, what did he say about fucking Hellraiser, because like Hellraiser is
It's a lot.
about gay BDSM. Like it's like that's the author's life. Like,
I know, right?
I'm like, what did he say about that? He was probably like, oh, it's a quaint little film.
Five stars about the
Nice
deterioration
family
of the
values.
British family. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah.
Screw yeah.
Go see The Hitcher, because even if you don't love it, I do think it is an underrated gem. Give it a watch. I think it deserves your attention, for better or worse. It should be. I do think it deserves to be seen and talked about more. Certainly, you know what I mean, as classic movies that were kind of like failed in their time, you know? Like, it's not as good as The Thing, but like a similar thing happened to The Thing, where it's like, it wasn't really respected. It was kind of a bomb, but then it's since been acclaimed as like one of the greatest horror films of all time. And it's like, this movie's not quite that level, but it should be talked about in that conversation.
It 100%, as it comes to that, like, I mean, like, we still talk about Fight Club to this day. There's I guarantee you right now, there's a Reddit post about Fight Club. Like,
sure.
And that still gets talked about. And usually, mostly, it's about the trippy brain, the like, you know, the personality stuff and like what's real and stuff like that. And so I'm like, this movie does that, and where no one's talking about it. Let's talk about it, people. Get out there.
Thank you. So moving on, we obviously love this movie. So moving on, go watch it for yourself. We're going through driving month still. We're going to probably have a little bit longer of a month since we started sort of early in a weird way, how it goes sometimes. But the next movie, surprisingly, is going to be Sorcerer, by the 1977 film by William Friedkin, which I'm excited to see because I fucking love Friedkin, and I've never seen Sorcerer. So,
dude, yeah, Friedkin's
fingers crossed that this is also a driving movie, because I know it's about dudes like driving a truck through like dangerous areas. That's pretty much all I know, and I know the score's dope because I've heard some of it and I like it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So next week, go watch Sorcerer. I'm surprised it won, but I'm really happy it won because The Hitcher's been on my list and The Sorcerer's been on my list. So I'm I'm into it.
Really though, like this is these have been that was a dope movie, and so this has been a really fun week. I'm actually really happy to watch Bullet because I've like wanted to see that forever, and now I know what it was. So yeah, it's great.
Again, like so many movies, lives fondly in my memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I do. I remember the good.
Just like you and our fine listeners.
All right, we're so long. If you're watching the YouTube, sorry about Jordan's frozen face.
I don't know.
At least you got to see me and my gestures and my
you're moving around,
my beard and everything. Hopefully that works out for you. So, all right. So see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.